So now it's time for our watercolor skies, and I'll start with my big mop brush. So I can pull down as much paint as I can, as quickly as I can, and we'll do a sunny sky first. So I'm going to mix my cerulean and my French ultramarine together and make a nice watery wash. So the trick to getting your wash nice and smooth without lines is to have enough water. And also I'm on a 30-degree angle so that I have gravity to help pull this down. And you can see that that forms that little bead at the bottom there. If you're on too much of an angle, it might drip on you. So about 30 degrees is just fine. Now I pull the paint across from side to side to try to keep it even. And once I get to about 2/3 of the way down, I'm going to start adding in a little bit of rose. So I'll just put a small line of rose down there, and then I'll start adding in some yellow at the very bottom, and that creates that haze that you get, also sort of the pollution effect, but it's our atmosphere there. Okay, so there we have one even wash for the sunny day sky. Next we're going to do a sunset. So I'm going to start at the very top with a mix of purple. I'm using both blues with the rose. And I'll just lay down a little row of this purple mix. And then I'll start switching into the rose. And then I'll start transitioning into my oranges. So I want a little bit of variation going through here. I'll have some that's more pink and some that's more yellow. And then I'll get a little bit lighter as I get down towards the bottom. So while this is still wet, I'm going to go over it and slash across the top with a couple of dark purple clouds. So I'll make it a muddy purple with some of that yellow in it. And then down in the middle, I'm going to have a couple slashes of the rose. And then you have those beautiful bright colors that are created as the sun beams through the atmosphere and goes through all the pollution. So as mine dried, it got a few lines in there because things were, when I put the pink down, it was wet and the other part was drying. So I'm going to fix that by flipping it upside down and just running over it with a glaze of plain water. And that is one quick, easy fix for getting rid of those lines. So you can see that kind of washed away my pink a bit, so I'll just put a couple more pink slashes across. There, now my sunset sky is fixed. So next we're going to move on to the stormy cloud day, and we want to start with a warm yellow underpainting. It's not a bright yellow, so I'm dulling it down with a little bit of that purple. I don't want it too brown, I still want it to be a bit yellowy, so I will just make it nice and light and pull that all the way down. So that is an underpainting. Now I'm going to go on top of this underpainting with some of that kind of grayed down purple. So this time it's more on the purple side. And just some yellow in there so it's not too bright. I got my Stormy purple. And I'm just going to run over that whole thing, a little darker at the top, more water as I go down. And with, use either your brush as a mop or a paper towel, lighten up this bottom area and have some little sunbeams coming through. And it's a little too liney, so I am running over it with water. And now I'm going to put some dark purple storm clouds at the very top. And some lighter ones, smaller ones, creating a sense of distance at the bottom. So now we'll do the sunny day sky. And I'm going to make my cloud first, so that's kind of a warm, creamy yellow for the cloud with a little bit of rose at the bottom, and then that dark muddy purple at the very bottom where it's in the shade. So I just do some kind of loose brush movements and sort of calligraphy-like, so I kind of flick my wrist around to get those nice little shapes. And I'm going to float around here with the blues mixed together. And I'll just let it touch in a few areas so I get my soft lost and found edges. And the bottom of the sky is a little bit lighter and broken up with just a couple more purples. And there we go. So those are our skies, and now go ahead and dry those all the way, and we're going to create some little mini landscapes now. So up on the sunny day, we're going to do the Great Plains, and we want this to be a big, vast sky, so we're going to make the land really small. And this purple row is just the far off distant land. That dulled down purple color is a receding color, it goes away. And then I'm going to use my yellow and the cerulean to make a warm green for the foreground. So here's the grassy plains in the front. Now I'm going to do a distant city over here for our sunset. So we've got a little city silhouette in the background, and I'm just freeform painting today. I'm not sketching any of this out. I'm just adding little shapes to represent the buildings in the background. So we got some rooftops and some chimneys sticking up, and just trying to keep a little bit of variation in size and shape. And as I pull this across, I'm just letting different mixes of this purple blend in together. We always want variation, one of our elements. Alright, so now I've got my distant city in the background, and I'm going to use a more warmer brown mix for the foreground land. And here I'm going to create a little river shape. And to give it that sense of distance, it's more narrow in the back, and the mouth of it opens wider as it gets closer to you. Now for our stormy day sky, let's create a little field of mountain, or a little field like we're out in Scotland, out in the moors. So we still have the far away distant purple. And I'm just making little shapes with the brush. They can be little cottages or trees off in the background. And then I'm going to use the French ultramarine and the yellow to make the more dulled down foresty green. And remember, this makes that dulled down green because they've got the red in them. So now let's put some green down for our land over here on this sunny day with the puffy cloud. And I'm doing a lighter colored green for the faraway green. And then I'll make the darker green in the foreground area. And I'm also keeping a little space in here for another river in the foreground. And with a little bit of water, I'll blend these guys in a little bit better. And so there we've got the lighter color in the background and the darker in the foreground for a sense of distance. So now I'm going to put in a little bit of blue for this river, and I want it to match the sky because the water is reflecting the sky color. And it will get really light where it's far away. So now I'm going to use a little bit of that purple and just put a few marks down in the background, and that just represents a bit of faraway detail. I'll add a little bit of darks along the side of the water. It looks like some reeds. And a couple little fluffy trees here. And make sure the trunks are small and the trees are puffy and not perfectly round like lollipops. A little bit of a shadow side at the bottom. And then the cast shadow. And that's it.